Hello and welcome to the Bourbon Bear, and the Bears sit at a current 1-1 record, and today we have Bondo on the show for Bondo's Bets. How are you, Bondo?
I'm good, but you have to paraphrase that. They're 2-0 covering the spread.
True, that is true.
I mean, it's not if you win the game or not, it's if you cover. And that's what I'm here for, to make you money.
And I think that was actually a surprise. I came in there thinking the Bears would lose that game by at least 7 points. I was hoping a lot more from the offense would show. It didn't, but the defense has shown they can play with the NFL's best. You were going against 3 great receivers and get 1 touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, the Bears are going to stay in games like game 1 through their defense. Their offense is not quite up to par. You caught my drift last week, but again, we got to address these problems, and I think the number one by far right now is the offensive line.
So when it comes to addressing problems, though, the line is something you have all of training camp, you have off-season, they work together, get in a rhythm with Caleb. It's kind of hard to add a lineman in the middle of the season, and especially with the fact of what you have to give up or who's available in the free agency market. But what can they do right now, whether that be through acquisitions or through improvements they can make right now, in your opinion?
Well, right now, they have to address that in the future. But, I hope the Bears can keep this, keep a better than 500 record. Because, when these teams start faulting, the first thing they dump usually is their wide receivers and offensive linemen and defensive linemen. So I really believe that the Bears might come in and find some future free agents and sign them possibly. I know it's only the second week. But
So that's where I disagree. I just don't think there's not enough out there for you to go and invest in a new line right now, have them acclimate to the offense. I think Shane Waldron really has to utilize those 2 tight end sets. Don't really want to see much more of Gerald Everett. I really want to focus on Cole right now, and Mercedes Lewis is an extra blocker. But you can't really just get a good lineman right now. Through the draft next year, you have Carolina's number 2 overall pick,
right,
which is probably going to be the 33rd pick in the draft. I think you use all of your picks on linemen next year.
Well, I told you in day 1 on our first podcast, I talked about Kelly, the center on Indy, who's up, or his contract's up, and they're not going to sign him. And I think he's one of the top 4 centers in the NFL. So I hope they keep that on the radar.
I'm fine with that, but we've been just bottom barrel shopping, like Lucas Patrick, Bates this year. I mean, it's never like a long-term solution. It's a put a Band-Aid on it, see how this offense does.
Well, welcome to the McCaskey world.
That's true.
It's but I'm going to disagree with, first off, Cole Kmet's got to be more of the offense, and he's done a wonderful job. If you watch him, except a couple of plays, he did a wonderful job blocking. I don't think that's his strength, they say, but I have a problem with Mercedes Lewis. He played 1 play or 2 plays last week. One of the plays he went offside, a false start.
False start, yeah, he did.
And I'm going to call him Chevy Lewis because he's sure not a Mercedes anymore.
Oh my God!
But he's 40 years old. You can't find a free agent lineman that was released somewhere that can do a better job than that. I mean, he's 40. I know Rodgers is 40, but it's a different situation. I feel they got to cut him and try to find he's 40.
No, I know.
And I'll say 2 plays last week he played. I mean, that's the kind of guy you don't need on the roster, I don't think.
So building off of the offensive line, though, the one weakness India showed clearly on defense is the ability to give up the run. And right now, the Bears are sitting on a game where Swift was 14 for 18 yards. 14 carries, 18 yards. What do you think the expectations of the run game are going to be this week? Mainly because we have yet to break, I think it's even, not in counting QB rushes, 50 yards in the game.
Yeah, well, you're right on. You did your homework finally, but no, I agree. They have the worst run defense. We have one of the worst run offenses, and we need to establish the run, and that I think Caleb can play a little more at ease. He's a rookie. He's under a lot of pressure, as you've seen the last 2 weeks, and. I think Swift, and he's a good back out of the backfield.
Yep.
I think he's really good there, and I have a feeling, and you're gonna, we're not giving my bets out yet, but I got a feeling that the Bears will do all right offensively this week. They won't score a ton of points, but they're going to do all right.
And I agree with that, and I think you're going to see a lot more dynamic in the backfield, too, from Swift, number one, but I think you're going to see more of Khalil Herbert, and I really want them now that Travis Homer's on the IR for 4 weeks. Get Roshan Johnson involved. You drafted him last year, had, decent stats, nothing crazy. I think his yards per carry around 4. But, make it that three-headed monster if you have to. Whatever you need to do to get this offense exploding, do it. And if you're Shane Waldron, you can't rely on Caleb making these dynamic throws under pressure. So I agree with you. Run the ball, establish it, then let Caleb cook. Because we need to see Caleb throw a 200-yard game. And I was really hoping he'd be last week. Didn't happen. But we're improving slowly but surely.
Yeah, but Indy's D is not that great.
Agreed. That's your time to do it.
It's their time to do it. Tennessee, their defensive line was amazing, and last week Houston's defensive backs and line, and that was a hell of a defensive team there. But I agree, the Bears need to open it up a little bit. This isn't college for Caleb anymore. I mean, he's got to learn to. There's times that he has to unload the ball, just throw it out of bounds, and make sure that, you don't take the sack.
And you saw that in the Tennessee game when he took a 26-yard sack when clearly it could have just been a throwaway. But, rookie, you have the jitters. I get it. Nothing wrong. I'm not going to blame him there.
No.
Caleb Williams, though, this game, again, I'm hoping for 200 yards at least. But the panic meter, I think, for most Bears fans went from 0 to 1 out of 10. Just because now we're starting to think, okay, Poles did not build around him enough in terms of that offensive line. Cool, we have an awesome receiving core, but Keenan Allen's been out for, last week and this week. Rome Odunze drops a touchdown that he should have caught. Keenan Allen, week 1, dropped a touchdown he should have caught. Yeah. And Caleb needs that confidence, getting just your first NFL touchdown pass. And those 2 drops in particular, come on. I know the Roman was a little tougher, but give the guy a break.
Well, if you watch the game last night, I thought it was really interesting the way the Jets... the wide receiver who's on our fantasy team, Wilson, right? Mm-hmm. Wilson. He was pouting, not getting the ball, and then, Rodgers threw him 3 straight passes, and then the last one was a touchdown. I mean, you need to give these younger guys confidence, like Caleb, and believe in themselves. Mm-hmm. I mean, and he's not going to be pouting like Wilson was yesterday, but.
What did you see? Rome Odunze's dad posted a video on Twitter of all the open plays that Caleb didn't see him.
Oh, really?
Which I don't like that drama already. That's oh, God. I don't want to start with this.
I'm sure you got a call from Hallis Hall.
Oh, yeah.
We got to start drinking this stuff.
Yeah, I'm way ahead of you.
Maybe I'll get a little more, won't lose more brain cells from drinking. I better give my picks now. But I did a little grading. I know it's only 2 games, but the defense, I have DBs A, linebackers B, D-line B.
I think that's fair.
I think that's what's won us the one game and kept us in the other. Offensively, I have wide receivers, tight ends is a C. Offensive line is a D.
Agree with that.
Quarterback, I'm going to be nice. I'm giving him a D.
It's not wrong. With the sample size we have, I can't blame you for that.
Yeah, and running back's D. But, if you can keep the defense the way it is, and it's so much fun to watch a Bear game these days with that defense. And another factor, I think, why the Bears are going to win this week is this coach for Indy. If he goes 0-3, 0-4, that guy might be the first guy to go.
That's fair. But one thing I want to touch on, what you just brought up, though, so the defense, obviously I agree with those grades. I think that's fair. Offense, I think, is fair as well. But we've seen the defense be able to adjust in the second half. And I think you saw it, I guess, both games, truly. But we've got to be close to giving up, 9 points in the second half this year, which is absolutely insane through 2 games. Absolutely
9.
insane.
I don't even think it's 9.
But the defense is making adjustments. The offense isn't. You gave up none against the Titans, and I think you gave up 9 against the Texans. Maybe it's closer around there. Maybe it was 6. But think about that. 9 points through 2 games in the second half. So clearly, Eberflus knows how to adjust this defense based on what the offense is giving you. Offense has shown no adjustments. So And I don't want to blame Eberflus because the defense has been so good, but was it a mistake to keep him and not get an offensive-minded head coach?
Well, that's to be determined. I mean, the guy is well-liked in the locker room, which is a big plus. There has got to be, I can't believe, the last year's offensive coordinator was a scapegoat. What was his name?
It was Bill Lazor, then it was, who was last year?
Well, they were the scapegoats.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question they were the scapegoats. And Eberflus, with the defense, and I believe the way he runs that defense, he is one of the best defensive coordinators in the league.
I agree with that.
But, as a head coach, he's got to show a little more. Maybe does a little less with the defense and try to, help the offense a little through.
But that's not what he does, though, and that's where it's almost like, hey, your faith is in Shane Waldron to get this offense figured out, and through 2 games, obviously, a lot is left to be desired. But you have a stretch of games playing the Colts, obviously Sunday, but then I think it's Rams, Jags, Panthers. Those are games that you have to win. And there's a good chance the Bears could wind up and calm a lot of Chicago's nerves at 5-1.
Well, I think you're optimistic, but I think if they can go 5-3 in their first 8 games, that's realistic.
Yep, that's very realistic.
And I think it starts this Sunday, and the defense is going to be fine in my opinion. The quarterback Richardson.
Yep. Anthony Richardson.
He's not a big man, He's not. He's one of the lightest quarterbacks in the league besides Murray. So the Bears can do some damage there. I'm telling you. I really like the way the defense is playing, and I really look forward to it because if we can win this game, I think we can. If they start believing, they can start running the table a little, and then I can be wrong on my 9-8 overall. But I think this is a pivotal game.
Well, so that's the one unique thing I think the defense is going to be exposed to this game. Anthony Richardson is known as a rushing quarterback. The first 2 games of the year, we've played true pocket passers. If you want to call, the guy from the Titans that, I don't even know. But he's not a runner. He's not a runner.
Wilson.
So that's your first challenge against a truly rushing quarterback. Green Bay basically gave the Bears the blueprint of how to beat the Colts. Run the ball, play conservative, keep Richardson in the pocket. He'll make his own errors. He had 3 interceptions and 1 touchdown last week. I think as long as Eberflus follows that game plan and contain the rush of the quarterback, you'll be fine.
You did your homework again. I think that's the biggest point. As long as our defense can play the way we know they can, we can squeak out a 14-10 win. I mean, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be fun. We noticed that for the first 2 weeks, but we're in the game, and it wasn't like that last year and the year before that. So, we keep our positive and you never know what. Look at what Houston, and you guys don't remember. You remember what Houston they lost the last game of the year, so the Bears.
Against the Colts. Yeah,
right.
It was ironically against the Colts.
They
won the last game.
They won the last game.
Right.
That's
what
I
changed
said.
The whole thing.
Yeah, but they got the Stroud and they got the defensive guy. I forgot his name.
Yeah, the rusher. I'm trying to play.
So maybe Lovie Smith was a genius.
I don't disagree with that.
We.
But I know you got your bets coming up, but I got 3 predictions I want you to make, though. Number 1, and you give me spot answers, or you can think about them, but how many sacks do the Colts get against Caleb?
Boy, with that offensive line,
That's what I want to know.
I'll say 5.5.
What?
Sacks.
Do you think they'll get 5 sacks in Caleb?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy, that's a bad omen, though. I don't like that, but that's fine. That's fine.
I think it's the omen is if they don't establish the run game, it's going to be disaster.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. But if they get 5 sacks, I think the Colts win that game.
No, I disagree because the defense is always going to keep you in the game. So again, I'm looking at a low-scoring game, and I think it'll be like 13-10 in that area. And
5 sacks. I guess if it's that low scoring, you're good. All right, second question though. Overall Bears rushing yards, including Caleb, I would peg it at 100 yards.
Well, I think you're a little optimistic there, but I would go about.
You can take the under then.
I like the under, but I think if they can get to a 95, a 90, I'd be pretty happy.
Okay, so improvements in the run game. That's good.
I would.
And then finally, Caleb Williams touchdown passes against this defense. Again, last week I said 2.
Yeah.
Should have had 1.